Okay, welcome to Rex at Rex. We're going to be talking about the ITF Plus right here, and it's important to mention the FCO U61. What a interesting education I am getting from the ITF Plus. First of all, for anybody who is interested in getting into computers, the ITF Plus is the starter to get that happen. A lot of people in the IT world think that the ITF Plus is a throwaway certification, which means that you will learn more if you go to another certification such as the CompTIA A+, which is a software and hardware certifications. And having those would then basically nullify the need of this cert. I do see one plus of the ITF, and that is that it is an endless, it doesn't have an expiration date type of cert, so putting it onto your resume doesn't hurt. The reason why it was created was that it was made for individuals who supposedly didn't have an understanding of what a computer is and any of the little extras that goes with it. And to a point, it does actually explain every detail to a certain degree of what it is that is computer. And to give you an idea, for instance, I mean, they go through the beginning of how to use a workstation, how to turn it on, how to go through the processes of learning how the programs work. But one of the things that I have as a complaint, and I'm not saying that they're doing it wrong, it's just maybe because I haven't been doing this kind of studying in a while or education in a while, is that they seem to accordion all the information. Like they're telling me what a CPU and a GPU is in one module, and then way later on they bring it all up again, and then they go and redefine everything again. And it's like, well, you already kind of told me about that. Why do I need to learn it again? Of course, the way that they're presenting the information is based off of, you know, the concept that's being brought up. But I digress. It's not the way I want to learn, and luckily for me, I'm in a class where there's an instructor who's able to be talking about it. So we're going through that process. We're learning about everything, and that's one of the reasons why I do actually like this education that I'm getting from it. It's basically breaking me into the understanding of how CompTIA likes to teach. Luckily for me, I also have the instructors to help, because the one thing that is a problem for me on the ITF is they have labs on there which are extra credit courses or extra credit information, or I do call it extra credit, okay? But the benefit of the the labs, for instance, is it gives you an even more depth understanding of what you're learning. I am not surprised that obviously I need to have a computer to operate this, but one of the problems that one of the students had is that she is not at all a computer illiterate person. Like turn on use was pretty much the only experience that they ever had, and from their perspective, they didn't have the right program, they didn't have they didn't have the right operating system, and this is based off of a Windows 10, and if you have 8 or 7, which is still possible, you know, you're not going to be able to actually use anything that's in here, as it's designed to explain the Microsoft 10 and its operating system to a vast majority. Because if you're a person who owns Linux or Mac systems, yeah, you can use some of the stuff that's in here, but as this training and guide was designed to do, oh, thank you. I dropped this. For those of you who know my little bit, how you doing, little bit? Yes, I know. I know. So what does the cat say? What's the dog say? What's the dog say? Woof, woof. So that's one of the things that have come up when it came to the courses and classes, that you have to have a computer that's Windows 10 capable at home. Because even though if you have an instructor-led program, it's interesting that a lot of the labs that are in this book won't let you operate in a classroom setting because the IT people don't want you to have system administrator access to the computer. Well, that's okay. I mean, again, I have the ability of doing it here at my home, but it's just one of those things. We weren't able to do some of those labs in the classroom setting, so until we were able to practice it, we were kind of asked out on that. And the other thing is that I noticed that they have a tendency to bold a word or certain set of words as to explain something, and then they kind of throw it out in another paragraph, and that becomes, you know, a detail on their part that they'll define something before or after the bold, but not like right after it. Now, again, this is my complaint. I don't know if, you know, that's the way it's supposed to be done. I'm not really liking it. And then they have a tendency to do something else, which one of the things that they do at the end is that you have a quiz trying to remind you about everything that you just learned in the module before. And on a true-false question involving a, I believe, USB question that came up, it was true-false, and it asked a question that was false. But when the instructor came up to it, the actual answer was mostly false. I don't think that you take the certification in class and the exam that you're going to have and there's going to be a mostly false option out there, unless it's multiple choice. But I've never seen that before, and yet that was an actual answer that was in this book, and I'm like, that's not going to work out for me, which then already started making me have my doubts. So I am going to point out those few little details. One, you definitely have to have a Microsoft Windows 10 operating system working on your computer, because that's how they set themselves up with. You're definitely going to have an outside education for some of the things involving the exam itself, such as going to YouTube or another study guide on top of this one, because you're not going to really get very good on the exam questions on this, because you know what? They want you to have something called the Cert Master. So not only do you spend money on the guide itself, they want you to spend money on the questions with the Cert Master, and then on top of that spend the money to get the actual test. If that isn't a little bit of a pain in the ass altogether, I think they should do all three in one. But then that's just me. I don't know. It would make sense, but I guess I'm not going to be questioning their format of how they want to make money. Because truthfully, that's what this is. Yes, you're supposed to get educated. Yes, it's to prove that you have an education in something to certify yourself through. But you don't make this without making a few pennies on the side, and that's designed with it, and I don't care what they say. It's obvious. Okay. That being said, oh, and the third thing. If you're an individual who has zero experience in computers at all, like you have none, you might not actually like the ITF Plus, because even though they are very simplistic on how they are informing you, the thing is that they are informing so much. I mean, this is not a thin book, okay? And the way that they have the module set up, if you're able to remember all of the acronyms that they have to offer you, mind you, there's quite a few of them, and you have all the definitions of words that you've really never seen before, ever, then chances are you're going to actually learn quite a bit through this. So I definitely would highly suggest that for you. And I have to admit that I'm doing all right in this certification exam, but I have to admit that I'm going to have to do a lot of things on the side for practice, and that's what's just going to have to be the case. And I'm hoping that over the next period of next few weeks, you know, I'll get a better experience across the board. So that's really where it really comes down to. And in the next, you know, 10 months now, I'm going to be having a good experience on how to be able to do these certifications, because the whole good benefit of doing this is that now I know how they do it with this. I know how the next certification, which will be the A plus hardware that's going to be coming up soon will be like. And that's that. But here I'm doing a half introduction because I will finish this guide up in 3 more weeks, and we'll see what happens and get that certification and test, and that will be what the next blog will be about. But I've been at it for 20 days, and I have to admit that I've learned more than I've ever learned before, and that's kind of a good benefit. And I would highly suggest the ITF for anyone who really wants to get a good general understanding. The good turnaround by this, by the way, is that if you do learn the ITF, the A plus hardware and software technically is easier because you already have a running understanding of what you're going to get yourself into. So there's that going for you. So thank you very much, and this is Rex at Rex. Hopefully I'll be pumping out with another piece of information soon. Bye.